and we are the co-leaders of this conversation called Diverse Dialogues. And we're excited to welcome you back to see another interview. And we want to briefly tell you what this is all about, that we are here to bring attention to a global social movement that Helen and I have launched called Safe Conversations. And the goal of that movement is to teach dialogue to 2.4 billion people in the next 20 to 30 years. And we see that that's the tipping point of the world's population in 2050. So we are excited today to have introduce you to and have in the studio to talk with and interview face-to-face a person who's joined us and recently as the CEO of Quantum Connections, which is the name of our organization, and Jaclyn, his partner, here today, who has also been participant in learning the Safe Conversation. And we'll hear all about them later, but we just want you to know that's who you'll be hearing today, is the CEO of Quantum Connections and his partner, who is actively involved in Safe Conversation. So welcome to this interview. I am personally delighted to have you here and feel honored to have Jaclyn and you come and be a part of this and to learn how engaged you have been in this process and how interactively supportive you all are. So
you are going to be surprised about what I'm going to say.
I'm going to be surprised about
First,
what you're going to say.
I have this innovative husband who really had the idea of, let's create sentence stems for dialogue and a new way to talk. But then he also studies tipping point theory. And there is a man now heading up our organization, and his job is to get dialogue. It's already throughout the world, but we have to get to the tipping point, 2.4 billion. This is Jaclyn Thorp and his wife, and a beautiful, wonderful wife, Jaclyn. And would you like to say a little bit about how you first got interested in learning more or distributing, helping us distribute it?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Let me first start by saying what an honor it is to be here and to spend time with you both and to be able to share this time with Jaclyn. So thank you for having us. My introduction to dialogue happened just a couple of years ago when a colleague of mine introduced me to an idea to spread dialogue in safe conversations around the world. And I was placed at a great job, one I loved, but I wasn't driven by a mission that really could change the way the world operated, that could improve the way society cooperated. And when I heard about that mission, I asked to learn more, and one thing led to another, and today here I am at Quantum Connections. I couldn't be happier and more grateful to the two of you for helping me find this
And you
role.
didn't know you were going to wind up leading the charge on this. And I just want to say to our audience
Such a talented man.
that who you're hearing talk right now is a person who's taking on this mission of 2.4 billion people and who thinks about it and runs circles around me in terms of how do we get this done. I figured out what to do, and you're figuring out how to do it, and it's a great partnership.
I think what it represents is proof that with a healthy dialogue, your ideas can be partnered with my ideas and the ideas of the people on our team. And together, all of those thoughts can be complementary and kind of make us even stronger and innovative and fresh and new. So it's really evidence of what dialogue can do.
Yes.
And before I go to my second question, and then Harville will do the rest, a theologian son-in-law said, "Mom, the way to live life, faith, hope, love." Well, why not market it wearing baseball caps? And so thank you for your future leadership. Now, what's it been like to use it, Jaclyn, Jonathan, at home? It's one thing to market dialogue, but was it ever helpful in a relationship at home?
Sure. I would love to answer that, Helen. And I do want to say thank you to Harville and yourself for having us on. It's a real treat to be able to sit with both of you, because this was created by you. And what an honor it is to be here. So thank you. This has been a game changer for us. I do want to say that in our marriage over 20 years, we've had a lot of growth. We've had a lot of setbacks, but this in particular, Safe Conversations, has given us a way to actually break down and be heard and understand what the other is saying, what the other's intent is, and make sure that we are able to connect those things and go forward with them to make positive impact in the future years of our marriage. It's, to me, something that has been a tool that we've not only used with each other, but we've actually started using it with our own children. And it's something that we use with people outside the home and at work. So yes, to answer your question.
I was going to say that whenever we once 2 or 3 times came to your home wanting to get to know you better. When did you sign on? A year and a half ago?
Kind of you to say. And as you all know, we raise kids of your own, and everyone in the audience who knows it's raised kids, kids today have a need to communicate directly and immediately. Yeah. And introducing them to dialogue would seem like it could be a shock to their system. But if they just try it, if they just try 1 or 2 of the steps and the skills, they become amazed that communication can be so much more than just a rapid trading of text messages.
Wow.
That they can actually, build connections with even with their parents. So, it's
they even talk to us.
Sometimes we're amazed by that, but it's really encouraging for all those people out there that are raising kids to not shy away from saving dialogue until they're adults, but to get them exposed to dialogue as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, I just want to put an underline under that, because what you're just saying is addressing one of the biggest concerns we see in the news that parents have and that schools have about kids with text with their phones.
Yeah.
And what you said was so significant, and it was new to me. I didn't realize what you just said. But you're parents, you have kids, you've done this, and your kids have responded. That they have discovered, with you all using dialogue with them and helping them understand this, that they can have a deeper conversation. Actually, we're open to having a deeper conversation than just the ones that they had on the exchange. Did I get that right?
I think you absolutely did. And at the heart of this is the same emotional need that we all have.
Yeah.
And that's to be seen and to be heard by other people.
Yeah.
I think in the absence of dialogue, kids are racing to try and get that notice and attention online.
Yeah.
And many are surprised to find out that they could actually find that attention, that recognition, that understanding, face to face.
Face to face.
With their own parents, even if they practice these skills like dialogue.
Well, as I said, I want to underline that because that is a response, an effective response to the cultural concern right now about all kids who are going into the tech world, and especially in relation to their own parents. I think that's the other piece. If the parents learn it and the parents practice it and then bring the kids into it, it has credibility. And if y'all are not doing it, then it would have no credibility. It's like something parents teach kids to do things that parents themselves don't do, but you modeled it.
And I think one of the most important aspects of that, of the exposure to your kids, is what dialogue does for difference in a relationship.
For difference.
For difference. I think all too often kids recognize that they are different than each other or different than their parents, and they somehow think when the parents are trying to communicate with them that their parents are trying to root out difference and to get the kids to become like the parents. I think that's a popular misconception. But what I love about dialogue is that it actually validates difference between people.
Yes.
Difference in children, difference in parents, difference between parents. And dialogue can actually make difference feel okay. And I think when children, teenagers even, start to discover that it's okay if I feel differently or talk differently or think differently than you do, Dad. And dialogue has given us a way to kind of talk about it and have me walk away saying, you're not trying to change me, but maybe you're at least trying to understand me. And I think that there's no replacing that.
And there's a tectonic difference in understanding me and trying to change me.
100%.
So the two areas where I would be curious about something concrete, a story, a narrative, either with the relation to your kids or in relation to each other, where the dialogue process was helpful relative to conflict.
Yeah, certainly. I have one. I would love to share this. It just happened the other day with our older son, who has recently found the gym, and he loves to work out. He loves to be able to get into something that's his and own it, changing his body, changing his confidence. And we've embraced it for him, and guided him to making sure that you're being safe while you're doing this, making sure you're making the right choices, be careful in what you do. And so he's really run with it. But I noticed a change not too long ago. And let me just back up real quick. We are a family who eats dinner together, families who pray together, stay together. So every night when we can, we eat dinner together. But as the kids get older, we have not been able to do so as often because they both have jobs. They have sports that they're into. And no matter where we are at our point in life, we still try to have conversations. We still try to make sure we understand what's going on with their lives. Even though we don't have that dinner time to connect every single day, we want to make sure that we're staying informed on what's going on with him. And so fast forward, I noticed that he was no longer eating breakfast. And it was a concern of mine. And I talked about it with Jonathan, and he said, don't worry about it. And I said,
I do worry about it.
Wrong thing to say to me. I'm the mother. I worry about everything.
Of course.
And so he said, we'll talk to him about it. And so Bennett came in that night. He's our older son. And I tried to ask him a little bit about it. I noticed you're not eating breakfast. And he was kind of non-responsive. He's not a big talker anyway. He's a little bit more introverted, which is fine. But he didn't want to really share his stance on why he wasn't eating breakfast, which frustrated me even more. I want to understand this. And so I go to him and I say, what's not working? What am I doing wrong? And he's saying, maybe try, this or that. Try to have a conversation with him. And after we spoke, I thought, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a conversation with him where I'm going to try and use the tools that I know that we've learned through safe conversations and better understand. I want to mirror. I want to find out what is going on so that I can fully understand him. And I don't want him to come away thinking I'm changing him, but just to understand where he's coming from. That was huge because once we had that conversation, he opened up to me and said, Mom, it's not that I'm not eating breakfast. I just don't eat the same breakfast any longer because I've become very big going to the gym and changing my diet. But now I want to trim a little bit, take off some of the weight and maybe slim down. And so he's changing his approach. But the way I was asking him, the way I was maybe interrogating him, I think he was not understanding where I was coming from, thinking I was trying to change him. Because it's very important. Teenagers want to be independent and they want to do things that they think are their decisions. They have to make, have it to be their idea. And once he understood after our conversation that I just was concerned about his health and his well-being, and is there anything I can do to support him? The conversation flowed beautifully, and I came away with the understanding that he was being safe. He had every intentions of doing things the right way. I just needed to talk to him differently.
And I want to underline that because what you just said is one of the major miracles of dialogue, which is that when people are listening, just listening and asking questions and listening and asking questions, we know that the brain goes on alert and then goes into defenses, and that they have now measured what happens in the brain when you move into mirroring, that the focus center in the brain moves from the lower brain up into the prefrontal cortex, because it now does not feel invaded or attacked or scared, but goes up and it goes into a state of relaxation. So when you just listen without mirroring, the brain doesn't know what you're doing with what's being said. But when you mirror, then they know you're listening to understand. The brain knows that. So the brain now says, this is safe. She's not trying to control you, and so forth. So then, and this happens over and over again with teenagers and parents, is when the parent starts mirroring, not just listening, like tell me about your diet, but mirroring it back and showing curiosity about is there more, the kid stops acting out. Even acting out kids stop because they know they're with somebody who cares instead of somebody who's trying to regulate them. So that was a beautiful example of shifting a non-working situation where a kid was closing up, so that when you shifted to mirroring, he then opened up and began to say, this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it makes sense. And it made sense for him and made sense to you, apparently, and that you were now okay. So you relax. So I just wanted the people who are listening to know that the mirroring process is the, I don't know, I can't come up with the quite words. I've been trying to do this for a long time, but it's it's magic. It's the grease that takes the squeaking out of the wheel. It's the thing that moves into another way. It moves you into safety, because the structure creates safety, and then there's connecting. And so that, thank you for sharing that. Do you have a parallel story about how conflict between you and Jonathan, how you dealt with that? And you don't have to share one. It's just an opportunity if you do. And it looks like Jonathan's revving up to do one.
The mirror means to say what you think you heard the other person say.
Yeah.
Mirror them back.
Mirror them back.
And then say, did I get that right? And when you say, did I get it right, this is the healthiest part of the brain. The brain scientists say that wonder about another person is the dopamine, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and you're a healthier person when you listen and you wonder.
Yeah.
And so they really heard me. They know what I'm talking about.
They know what you're talking about. Yeah. That you are wondering, meaning you are curious, not judgmental. And that shift is traumatic. And I'm sorry, not traumatic, dramatic.
Yes.
It's it moves from possibly traumatic outcome to a very connecting outcome. And I'm emphasizing this because you gave me the opportunity just to say core transformational power of the dialogue process is the person who will listen and then mirror. The mirroring is important, and accurate mirroring, because the brain does not want a partial mirror. It does not want a summary. It wants to know, did you get me? And that means word for word. Now, most of us don't do that. And I've found that most people will take a sort of summary or a paraphrase, and then that's okay. But they really love it when you say each word accurately, not in a mechanical way, but with enough of their own words that they know that you took them in enough to use their words when you feed it back. And that's really powerful. And you were going to, go ahead.
Well, I was only going to offer that, when we coach others how to adopt mirroring techniques, you mentioned how important it is to listen actively. And the memory aid we kind of adopt is reflect, check, show. It shows the 3 stages of effective mirroring. Obviously, we want to reflect what we heard back to the other person, whether that's paraphrased or verbatim. But we also want to check to see, did I get it?
Did you get it?
And that's so important.
See, that's a wonder. You ask, now, did I get that right?
And you're right, Helen. The ask is so important because you have to try to set aside presumption. And so many times people will try to mirror and they'll say, oh, I heard you. I got you.
Yeah.
So you said this. And they presume that they heard something. But by asking that you heard and checking, then you give the person to go ahead and correct and rectify anything that was missed. And then, of course, the last part of mirroring that we remind people is to show curiosity and say, is there more?
Is there more?
And invite that person to go deeper, further, beyond what they think most people want to hear. And it's so magical because finally they're in the company of somebody that wants to hear what
Or is
they're thinking
willing.
and is willing to go there.
Rather than jumping in, well, this is what I think. And you think that, well, no, but they let the person just unfold their thoughts.
No.
Then before they eventually maybe hear something different from you.
Right now, there's not enough people in the world that are making that invitation
No.
and saying, is there more?
Right.
We hope collectively to change that
Yeah.
and increase the number of people that are really interested and curious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is curiosity increases the sense of safety. It's like the survival old brain says, oh, curious and interested, not judgmental, curious and interested. So it relaxes even more. And now the connecting is more intense and because the safety is more felt. And it is so simple. Mirror it back, check if you got it, and show some curiosity about, is there more? It's not brain science, it's not quantum physics, although it does activate, we think, certain features in the quantum field.
That's right.
But you were going to share something about how you all have used it in your personal relationship to give us another story.
You asked for an example. I think there's too many to count.
Okay.
Yeah.
The number of times that
But
we've
Bennett,
Well, pick your best.
They've
We've
done,
had
they've done the Bennett one.
scenarios where, whether it's how we deal with work stress or what do we feel about career ambitions, or even how do you help the kids with activities and sports. I think there was happened a couple of weeks ago where I woke up and I was in a lot of pain.
Oh.
And this was an incident where, coming off the weekend, I woke up, I don't know if it was something I ate, but I was very uncomfortable. And I said to myself, this is probably something I ate and something I'll just kind of tough through.
I was hoping not, because I cooked that evening.
You cooked chicken parmesan that was delicious, and I had a huge plate. But I woke up the next morning and something wasn't right. But what's interesting is the old me, prior to dialogue, would have just said, well, my inner voice is telling me, you'll be fine, tough it out. It's probably just something routine. And now that dialogue has come into our life, now I respect the opinion and the insight and the observations of another person so much so that within 5 seconds, Jaclyn took one look at me and said, something's not right. Something is decidedly different. And as it turns out, she insisted that we go to the emergency room. And as it turns out, my appendix had just burst.
Oh.
And this woman had effectively saved my life because she was willing to tell me, I know that you would stay at home and stay on the sofa and tough this out, but it's too important to me to see you suffer this way that we're going to actually go get another opinion. We're going to take you to see a doctor. Because of dialogue, she had the courage and the practice to be able to offer that perspective to me. And it shut down my inner voice, which just said, you'll be fine, tough it out, do nothing. And it actually promoted a dialogue where she spoke up and she said, I've got a different thought. And I said, well, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to go see a doctor. But I respected her input so much that I said, let's do it. And I'm alive today probably because of dialogue.
And I said, I appreciate that. You're not a bother, but let's get in the car and go.
Yeah. And so that ought not to be lost either, is that here was a critical situation that got amplified by the exchange between the two of you that, as you say, probably saved your life because the appendix had burst and it goes toxic pretty fast after it breaks and poisoning the rest of your organs. So thank God for you. I know that you all have both said, Jaclyn, you are a corporate executive as well.
Yeah.
And Jonathan has been in the corporate world and is now the head of our organization. And that you've taken it into your organization, not only in your personal life, but in your business life. Can you share a little bit about how that worked and how you did that and and maybe a story?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share, and I have definitely taken what we've learned in practice of safe conversations into the corporate environment. And I run a team of 20 analysts. They are on a program to become financial advisors, which, as you know, financial advisors need to be able to communicate in order to sustain their livelihood. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the analysts coming to me are the best and the brightest coming out of school, college. So they're young, in their 20s. And what I've noticed is their communication style is much different than my communication style. And what I love that you said earlier, Harville, was you have to be curious. And I always tell them, be curious. Find out why, have conversations, really get in depth and talk about things. And so I have the opportunity to meet with them on a bi-weekly basis, at least. I'm involved in their lives all day long. I probably see them more than I see my own family. But something that I like to do is practice the techniques when I do have these one-on-one meetings, especially because we're not only talking about corporate situations, we're talking about personal situations with them, because I feel strongly in getting to know them in order to coach them and to lead them. And sometimes it takes a lot to share personal information when you're at work. I think the dynamic has changed, and the ability to be able to bring your personal life into your work life is not as it used to be. And so getting people to open up, especially the younger generation, and being able to trust them, have them trust us with information, it really has to be focused, and there has to be a relationship built. And one of the ways that I do this is by using the safe conversations. And it's funny, I don't have a specific situation, but it's kind of like at home, how you teach is you model. And when they see me doing this, when I first get them, they don't really pick up on it. They don't know what I'm doing, but maybe 6-8 months into it, they then start to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And I will hear them mirroring to me, and I will hear them asking questions. And it makes my heart happy, because I'm not in there trying to necessarily force them or bring in safe conversations, but because it's a part of me now, and it's who I am and how I operate. They've now picked this up, and they have started being curious in their own environment. And so my hope is that by planting the seed, I can have them now go out and impact others' lives. Specifically, when they graduate the program, they will be financial advisors. They will be in the midst of lots of families and lives that they can impact. So it gives me chills, because I think it's just one more way that we can help you achieve your goal of reaching, what was it?
2.4 billion.
Billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that I'm able to do this, and I know it's a small little impact that I have. But by using it throughout the corporate environment, using it at home, I even use it sometimes when I'm on the phone with people calling customer service.
Oh, really?
They give me information, and I say, wait a minute, so let me make sure that I hear this correctly.
Yeah.
Mirror back.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, especially in situations that can get a little bit more heated, I think that it's very helpful to make sure you give the person the right setting, so that they don't feel that you're coming at them, or they don't feel like you're trying to have a negative attitude towards them. And it just brings it back down to a level playing field.
So I want to underline again a thing you said, because you keep bringing up stuff that's really central, which is the question always comes up for us when we do trainings or lectures. Well, how do you do this with somebody who doesn't know? They've not been taught, they've never heard a lecture on it, they don't know anything about it. And so what you've just done is answer that question be dialogical.
Just model it.
With a person who doesn't know anything about it, and don't tell them that you're doing it. And guess what? They will, if you do it with integrity, not like a phony practice, but just do it with integrity, they will then begin to internalize it and model you. And then other people will see that modeling so that it becomes infectious. Is that the right word? It becomes infectious. And I've heard that story, that similar stories many times in other contexts, which I wonder, why do people decide that they will start doing what you just did with them? And it must be because there's something real about it, something organic, something human, that they experience being seen and heard through your mirror and your curiosity and your valuing them. And something about that, I think, triggers their own safety mechanisms and moves them out of their defenses. And they want to learn, and they want to do it not consciously, but they automatically want to learn and internalize that because something about it feels authentic, real, safe, and maybe models something the human experience needs. I just love that it's catching, that when you model it, it's catching. Even parents have talked about kids catching it at home. They didn't have to teach them and say, I'm going to teach you how to talk to me. If the parent mirrors the kid back, the kid then does it consistently, the kid begins to mirror the parent back. I just find that very interesting. I don't fully understand it, so I sometimes make up theories to make sense of it. But it seems like it must be congruent with something in the brain itself, in our own inner world, that we would pass along to somebody else what we saw somebody model for us.
I think the person who observes the example can maintain the safety of their own space. And they look over and they see the example in the way that it looks and the way that it feels, and they can invite that into their space.
Into their space.
Instead of have it being dictated onto them. I think that's a much more threatening scenario.
Yeah.
And why your example of setting that quiet model example in front of people is so attractive, because they can observe it and say, I love the way that looks and feels, and I think I'm now ready to invite that in at their discretion, at their decision.
And there's something in us which knows when we're looking at something that's safe and wonderful, and you relax. And when you see conflict, you don't relax. Your brain goes into, oh, okay, something bad could happen here. That's really beautiful elaboration of that sense of it being contagious to do that. So what else would you all like to say to our audience about your experience with each other, or your experience in your business and work, or with your children?
Any advice for the audience?
I know we didn't get into a lot of my background or a lot of my personal life journey. I've been through quite a bit of therapy and counseling as a child, and have gone through many different types. Never have I experienced anything like safe conversation, and has been absolutely one of the best tools.
Wow. See, that's a big statement, because what you said, if I heard you right, is you've been through all this therapy.
The way you were
but
raised.
You've not had anything in therapy, did I hear this right, as effective as the dialogue process?
That's exactly right.
Well, that's an astonishing thing to say, because we don't, and Jonathan, who's running this, we don't advertise this as therapeutic or therapy, but it is therapeutic, and at some levels more therapeutic than therapy, for reasons that I don't think we've researched it enough yet to know why, but probably it has to do with the creation of the safety factor. That it's safe to be with this human being, then something happens to the brain, and trauma begins to be reduced by the repetition of safe interactions with other human beings. That's an amazing, you've said a bunch of amazing things that I've got them all out. So anything else? We've got about 3 minutes, and maybe what we should shift to, Jonathan, is if anybody wants to know more about this, how would they get to it?
I would love to invite anybody that has an interest in safe conversations, in dialogue, and how it might affect their own personal relationships or even their broader relationships, either at work, with a work team, faith groups, clubs, civic associations, anything. If you have an interest in learning more about dialogue, I'd welcome you to come to our website at www.quantumconnections.com. And there you can learn a little bit more about our organization, the programs we offer, and there's even ways to contact us and reach out to us to learn more. So again, it's quantumconnections.com, and we would love to have you.
What I remember is you have a Connecting at Work program for corporations to buy to teach the team how to use dialogue, which results in no one wanting, and they love going to work instead of, I don't like working here, and I resign, and well, no, I'm resigning too. You don't have to resign. And so people resigning, when now corporations can be more profitable when they use dialogue.
So true that this culture of disengagement is sadly gaining momentum, and more people are feeling this sense of disconnection at work. And we'd love to change that.
Because they compete. I'm better than you, so shut up. You didn't do a good job. No, I'm better than anyway.
You're exactly right.
And they go, well, I resign. This is hopeless. I don't want to work here anymore.
Lots of toxic energy in too many workplaces. We have a series of programs that can help organizations turn that around, and we'd love to tell you guys more about that.
Yeah. So, and all ecosystems can benefit from it, corporations, congregations, schools, and so forth. So, and if you want to know more about Helen and me, go to Harville and Helen with A-N-D, HarvilleandHelen.com to see what we do in relation to couples. And it's also another on-ramp. You can get a click there and go to quantumconnections.com and sign up for a course in safe conversations, and we look forward to seeing you and hearing from you there. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Jonathan and Jaclyn. So honored that you would be here today. And what a marvelous experience of talking with you and hearing
right
you
now,
talk about yourself.
The United States of America needs to know about dialogue.
Yes.
Problem solving.
Thank you again for coming, and we'll see you down the path.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.